Welcome. Thank you for giving your time to judge at a first LEGO League Challenge event.
We hope you've had a chance to look over the tools in our judging toolkit, including the rubrics, flowchart, awards list, judging session script, and judge questions, along with any other information from your tournament director.
In this video, we'll present a few scenarios you may encounter as you judge, and our suggestions on what to consider when evaluating the team. Remember, your primary goals as a judge are to accurately evaluate the team against the rubric and be a supportive mentor. As always, we trust you and your colleagues in your judging pod to make the best decisions possible to ensure each team you see is treated fairly and consistently. We know you'll do a great job.
That's right. Support comes both in the form of constructive comments about where the team can improve, as well as what they have done well.
Team Optimus has an extensive list of sources they used in their innovation project research, included on a poster they carried in. However, they did not mention the poster in their presentation or when prompted to do so by the judges in the Q&A. They left a folder behind with details about their work. How does the judging pod evaluate them in this scenario?
It is very important to consider only what the team communicates to you during the session. Try to make sure the teams don't leave items in the judging room, as any materials left cannot be considered because this would give the team an unfair advantage over other teams. Teams can use visual aids during their presentation or in response to a question, but it must be handled within the allocated judging time. The schedule for the day will be tight, and every team has a fair opportunity to demonstrate and present their work. So if this happens, you should not spend time looking through the work left behind and judge them purely on the judging session. You could use the comment box at the bottom of the rubrics to suggest the team may do differently next time. I've got one for you, Andy. You've seen two teams in quick succession and already submitted the rubrics for the first. Team FLL Chicken, who went first, did an awesome job with their core values inclusion in the robot design. Every team member has learned to build and code, but their design and code was simple. Team Egg, however, has a much more advanced design, but only the team's two technicians seem to know how to talk about what they've done. How do you think we should handle this?
Try to remember that you are not ranking the teams you see against other teams. Instead, view each individually and ensure you are scoring them according to the rubric criteria. We really hope that in every team, every student has had a chance to have a meaningful building and coding experience. That being said, the robot design and core values rubrics will both be important to consider in this case. Note the robot design rubric under Identify. The second line refers to evidence of team inclusion in building and coding skills. This is likely to be where FLL Chicken scores higher. However, Team Egg might receive a higher score in the second line of the design criteria, as this references explanation of robot and code features, or even the second line of the create criteria, as this references explanation of the functionality of the code. You will get more information from other parts of the session that will help you to fully decide where on the rubric each team is placed. Core values is the other aspect to think about here. FLL Chicken may score higher on inclusion and teamwork, and Team Egg may score higher on innovation, but it is worth remembering that core values is an holistic view of the team and should not be based on one aspect, but more the overall impression you get from the team across the whole judging session. That is why we talk about consistency when deciding scores on the core values rubrics. Candice, I've got a scenario that happens almost every season. Would you like to hear it?
Fire away.
You've just finished a lively judging session with Team No Name. On a number of criteria, the judging pod agrees they are so close to a 3 that it feels unfair to give them a 2. Can't they just give them a few 2.5 points to show the team how well they did and how close they were to a 3? Please, Candice?
We understand the thinking here, but this is where your feedback comments can make a huge difference to a team. It's great to let them know what they could do to get them over the line to a 3. But we've provided 4 levels of scoring: minimal, partial, clear, and exceeds. And it is important to stick to these levels. If they haven't satisfied the criteria for a 3, the team can handle the honesty that they're still a 2. Will benefit greatly from your constructive encouragement. The engineering design process they have been using all season really emphasizes the value of iteration. A 3 will be much more meaningful to a team when they have truly earned it. Speaking of scenarios that come up every year, here's one we see often.
I bet I know what it is.
Team Super Panda Gummy Bear arrives to their judging session with a fully rehearsed presentation, but seem to struggle answering the judges' questions. Your judging pod believes that it is the team's own work, but there is a question about how involved the coach has been, and if it has really been the coach doing the work that the kids are presenting.
This is truly a tricky one, Candice, because we really do understand some teams need their coaches to be more supportive when teaching and leading the students. And there are often many reasons why a team may seem very rehearsed. To overcome shyness or nerves, for example. If you have very clear evidence of the coach doing the work, then you need to speak to the judge advisor and/or tournament director as soon as you can and pass the information on. Otherwise, if the team can communicate what they have learned, proceed as normal. Pay close attention to their explanation to see how well they understand the material that they are presenting, and use the Q&A to judge the depth of the understanding. This is the part of judging that shows us who has done the work, so really ask yourself, has the team shown that learning has taken place? And score based on what you have seen. Remember, exceeds is for those truly wow moments where you are in no doubt that the team has fully understood all of the amazing work they have produced. So it is unlikely that the team in this scenario would score any exceeds. As I said, this really is a tricky one, but work as a judging team and use the rubric wording to help with the decisions, and if you need to, seek help from the judge advisor. Here's one we see come up in the robot design portion. Team Primetime has no sensors on their robot. Every mission they have accomplished has been done based on lining up their robot and counting rotations. The engineers in your judging pod are concerned about the simplicity of the robot. What do you think of that?
Good one, Andy. The true test of a robot's performance is in the robot game, so you don't need to be concerned with judging how well the robot executes the missions during the judging session. The robot design section will help you evaluate how well the team understands and communicates the design process they have been through and the intended functionality of their robot and code. It's not wrong to make a robot that doesn't use sensors. If the team is able to justify why they chose not to include sensors, this will strengthen their explanation. Equally, a team that has lots of sensors but does not have a clear explanation of where and why they're using the sensors will not score highly. If we take a look at the rubric, you notice that Create Line 1 references sensors, so the team may not score highly on this line. However, if they can explain the innovative features and they can confidently explain how the code and robot have been designed to complement each other, then they can still access the full range of scores on the other lines, such as Design Line 2 and Create Line 2 to pick out 2 examples. And don't forget, you can use the comment box at the bottom to suggest sensors if you feel like they should start to think about including them. Here's one for you on the core values rubric, Andy. How do you score fun?
We understand that team meetings can have ups and downs, but a team that can work through their disagreements and struggles and still come out invested in the challenge and respectful of each other is a successful team here. You'll see the other core values coming into play as well. Did everyone feel included in the work? Are they excited about what they have learned and created? A team's sense of fun is more than whether they are all dressed alike, carrying fun props, or singing a song. They will be supportive of each other and other teams. They will be able to see their tournament as a special day in a great season. Some things may go better in their meeting room than on tournament day, but it shouldn't ruin their experience for them. They will understand the experience runs deeper, and they will be invested in the work and what they have achieved. And they will know that what they learn is more important than what they win. One last scenario before we go. In the innovation project portion of judging, Team Idealistic Inventors share that they have talked to lots of people about their idea. But when the judges asked, "What did you learn?" they answer, "Oh, nothing, they just thought it was great."
This is such an important point, Andy. Adults hearing from teams may be tempted to say, "Great job," without providing anything constructive. An advanced team will know to push for feedback on what improvements they could make or other things they should consider. If they don't do this, the result may be a lower score in the iterate column. The same goes for teams who test and test but don't actually make improvements. They just cross their fingers and hope for the best, even though they have not actually made any changes. You'll be looking not just for whether they sought feedback or tested, but also what they did with the information. If we look at the innovation project rubric, you will notice that the iterate column splits this up. Did they share their solution? Did they make improvements based on feedback? Really use these two lines to help when deciding about the reach and impact of the feedback they sought.
Absolutely. Thanks, Candice. And that brings us to the end of this training. We hope this has given you some useful insights as you approach judging the teams and some discussion points when you have a look through the rubrics. We're so glad you have been able to join us, and we just know you're going to have a great experience judging.
Thanks so much for giving us your time. The teams will be so excited to share with you, and we think you'll leave feeling pretty inspired too.